What the fuck? What the actual fuck? What's going on? Like, seriously. And then they're like, Jack, you know, I really hate it when you express your emotions in front of the camera. I really just don't like emotionally activated JaKaTaK. I feel like you're trying too hard and you ought to be submitting your videos to /cringe. And I say, yes. But fuck, no, I'm so excited. I'm ridiculously excited. This is real. Like, I read this stuff and I was literally shaking with excitement. This is so fucking good. Like, I mean, I and you and everyone, Protoss, not Protoss, doesn't fucking matter. The things that are happening right now are fucking awesome. And if that's not okay with you, I can't help you. I'm sorry. I can't help you. Let's get into the changes. And whoosh. First off, warp gate changes. So there are a lot of levers going on here, right? There are a lot of different things we can fuck with, right? So one, we can change the survivability of the unit that's warping in. So we could say, okay, if you're not connected to warp-in power, which is what I'm gonna call it for the terms of discussion, then you are very fragile when you're warping and you take more damage. That's something that's actually true for everything right now, 200% damage across the board. You could do something like, when you're warping in, you're immortal, which doesn't provide a lot of counterplay, not particularly fun. You could do something when you're warping in, you have extra armor, extra HP just for the warp-in. You have a warp-in shield if you're next to a Nexus. There's all these kind of survivability lever. The survivability lever, lots of ways to do that, right? It's hierarchical, it's going down. The other way is time. And Defender's Advantage concerning rally, which is what we're mainly addressing here. So the problem with Warp Gate, for those of you who are uninitiated, the problem with Warp Gate as it is, not as it's being presented here, or here, wherever I decide to put it. The problem with Warp Gate is that it provides no rally defender's advantage in PvP. And it cuts off the rally defender's advantage of the other races as well, because you get to warp in right away, they get to rally in whatever, you know? So that's a time thing, right? When you're watching a ZVZ in Heart of the Swarm, there's an advantage to the Roach versus Roach player who's got the Roaches closer to their place when they're defending. That's called Defender's Advantage. And specifically, it's a time-based Defender's Advantage called Rally Advantage, because I'm just going to call it that. We don't have to call it anything specific. There's probably some fancy word that someone in game design came up with a long time ago. I'm not going to look it up. We're just going to call it Rally Advantage. In any case, the problem with not having Rally Advantage is that Protoss becomes super all-in, and people complain about that and they don't really like it. The Mothership Core was an attempt to solve that problem, and it kind of did, but in a really uninteresting way. Photon Overcharge. I've got an advantage. Oh, it's done. I've lost my advantage. Very binary, very uninteresting, but this, much more interesting. Now, all kinds of strategic decision making. The one thing that's kind of crazy about this is that warp prisms will be insane. I think warp prisms will be crazy. I could be wrong. It might need, maybe like warp prisms are in the middle, but the main allure of this warp gate change is that it's very smooth. There are not a lot of extra rules for players to learn. There's not a lot of, well, if you're within range of this, and then you have to do this math problem that involves the quadratic, formula, and you'll be able to know it's 7.2 seconds to warp in here, but it's 7.35 seconds to warp in over here. So it's like it becomes a silly math problem, which is, after discussing Blizzard at the community summit, they're like, no, we don't want it to be all mathy. We want it to be smooth and simple and sleek and elegant. And this solution, if I don't mind saying so myself, is quite elegant. Oh yeah, my name's JaKaTaK. Welcome to Tea Time. So the one thing that I would add, in addition to this particular change, it might be worth it to re-expand the range of the pylon. It used to be, the radius of a pylon power used to be a lot bigger, and it got smaller because the 4-gate versus 4-gate era of PvP, they were trying to find ways to restore defender's advantage. That's one of the things that they tried, and it kind of fixed it for a little bit. Then they did pylon powers not warping on the high ground. So now that we're restoring defender's advantage, I think in a more fundamental and interesting way, I think we open the door back to a larger pylon radius, which is good for new players, and it's it's just good in general. Makes the pylon, because the pylon is a lot more important now with this particular change, making it a little bit more less vulnerable, because like having a wider radius I think would be nice. But the main thing that I would add in to this particular change is the Nexus ought to have pylon power. And what's cool about this is you basically get a big pylon, and when you expand, you always have a place to warp in unless they snipe your Nexus. It's not like people run in, oh, they sniped the 2 pylons that I set up with my base. I can't warp in now. Crap, you know? So that's kind of nice. Adds a little bit more of that defender's advantage. And the other part about it, which is a little bit tricky, is I think it would be good to have that fast warp in, not only with pylons that connect to warp gates, but with pylons that connect to nexi as well. Having the Nexus be this sort of place where power originates from in a major way, I think would be really cool. It fits lore-wise. It's the pylon and the Nexus also both share the quality of providing supply as well. It kind of makes sense to me. I think it would be an intuitive change, and I think it would be good for gameplay as well. The one kind of strange thing that ends up, if say we were to take that a step further, okay, all Nexuses now have power. Maybe it covers the area where the workers are working, maybe a little bit further so you can build cannons. I don't know. You know, that's another lever to play with, right? Which is about balance, not about design. So Nexuses have power. Let's say that happens. Now all the builds get sped up for Protoss because they can just build a gateway. The really easy solution to this is just say, you need to build a pylon before you build a gateway. Done. Everything's exactly the same. No worries. We just change a little bit of defender's advantage. The crazy stuff, I'm going to say a crazy thing, and 90% of you listeners, you watchers, you viewers, you people of StarCraft out there are going to say, that's OP. You're going to swear out loud, but I didn't, because I don't want to put swear words into your mouth. That's rude. You're going to say that that is OP and unfair. Ready? Here it goes. We actually don't tech gate the gateway. You can build a gateway right off the bat. But to make it fair, you take away the requirement for Terrans to have to build a supply depot before they build a barracks. With the increased economy of Legacy of the Void, a lot of the early cheeses have been sort of brought back a little bit, sort of not quite as strong as they once were. Proxy 2-gate doesn't exist, different things like that. And obviously, there are still cheeses. Cheese has not died, as some people thought would happen. Cheese has not died. It's still there. We still have a good range of play, which I think is important for the health of the game and for the interest of the game. But it would be promoting a little bit more early aggression and speeding up the builds a little bit. What you would have to do to Zerg to counteract that or to balance that out, I'm not 100% sure, but I really do like the idea of you just build a gateway, you just build a barracks, and that's a strategic decision that you can make that wasn't available before, but is now, and is really cool the way it interacts, I think, with the 12 worker start. So, to recap, this is fucking awesome. Warp gate, cool. Maybe bring back some of the abilities that the pylon had before, like being able to warp in on high ground and having bigger radius. Maybe give the Nexus power. Maybe give the Nexus power the same power as warp gate power that's connected. And maybe remove the requirement of the barracks to have a supply depot built before it. Maybe. Immortality has no fucking counterplay, and it's generally uninteresting. Well done. Alternate control groups can be used in 1 versus 1 as well. This is a clarification. This isn't really a change. This is just something that's true that they're reminding us of. And it's really cool. I spent a lot of time analyzing what that means for the core, what that means for hotkey layouts, the best way to utilize this new function we have. For those of you who are unaware, it's an add steal and a create steal. We used to just have add, create, and select, and now we have 2 more. We have add steal and we have create steal. And it's very, very useful for a lot of things. Say you have an army, right? Army on one, right? Key 1. And you want to go harass with a group of your army, some of your army. You just box that army and hit add 2. And all of a sudden, number 2 is your harass. It's out there. And by pressing 1, you don't fuck up your harass. You don't have to go through this huge convoluted thing of shift clicking a million times to do a harass thing with control groups now. It's so good. Go experiment the hell out of that. It's super fun. It might even be replacements. We might even replace, in the core at least, and maybe in your own hotkey layout, you might want to consider this, especially for Zerg. You might want to consider replacing the regular add to control group with add steal. It actually may work better. And having that on a close key will allow you to do faster harass groups and different things like that, separating banelings from lane control groups. A little bit more difficult, I think, for Protoss and Terran, but maybe possible as well. Macro mechanics are boring as shit. They don't provide anything to the spectator, aside from dropping the mule hammer and dropping a million mules, and that's kind of cool, right? And it's kind of a thing that's a barrier to entry for new players to learn how to play StarCraft. It's like, hey, I want to play StarCraft. Cool. I want to play Zerg. Awesome. You're going to play Zerg? Great. Here's what you need to do. You need to just sit in a unit tester and that has hatcheries and queens. And for like 10 hours, I need you to just practice your injecting, figure out exactly the best mechanical way to do it over and over and over and over again. And when you can do that for the first 9 minutes of the game consistently, then you get to play StarCraft. It's like, yeah. It is this sort of, to me anyways, and it's interesting because I was reading through the quick feedback, the most recent feedback that came on the Reddit thread. A lot of people have been saying, I really don't like the idea of removing the macro mechanics. So I understand that there is some, and they actually mention it here, there is some strategy involved, energy tension, different things like that. There's some strategy involved in choosing when to do your macro mechanics. Are you going to chrono boost probes, or are you going to chrono boost your upgrades? Are you going to chrono boost your warp gate? It's also kind of cool because scouting, you can see where the chrono boost is going down. Like, chrono boosting warp gate. I have to watch out. There is an attack incoming, very likely. You know, that's kind of cool. I like that aspect of chrono boost. As far as mules go, it's really, I think, a problem area in Legacy of the Void specifically because of the reduced capacity of minerals. So you mine out bases super fucking quick and you become Nomad Terran and lift off your stuff and move it to the next base. I'm not really sure. We won't really get into the economy in this particular video, but I still am very unhappy with the economy. Moving on. And like I was talking about before, spawn larva is very sort of every 40 seconds you do this thing. Oh, hey, it's been 40 seconds. Do the thing again. It's like it's not really that interesting. There is some energy tension as far as, do you inject or do you save for transfuse or creep? But I still think there's going to be enough energy tension in spreading creep and transfusing that it's kind of interesting, or at least the numbers could be tweaked in a way that makes the energy tension an interesting decision. So concerning these things, they're considering get it out of the game completely, autocast for larva, and then cut mules completely from the game. Obviously, there would have to be changes involved. Things will have to change. You know, Terrans are used to depending on mules, and that's going to have to change. Balance is going to happen. Let's focus on design. Design is great. Or doing some kind of a nerf. So it says spawning larva is autocast, but it only spawns 3 larvae. Mule efficiency is nerfed by a certain percentage. Chrono boost is increased in energy, but the efficiency is not completely doubled, so it's a little bit of a nerf, and you do it less often, so it's less taxing. But the important thing to notice, I think, the important thing to take note of is this is the direction that we're moving in. We're moving away from things like I have to box my worker and send it to mine every 17 seconds. I have to go back to my base to do this thing over and over again, and it's just always good to do this thing. You just inject and you inject and it's necessary for you to be a competent StarCraft player. Not necessary for you to be amazing, but necessary for you to be competent. Getting a base level of Zerg play requires you to be at least acceptable at injecting. Otherwise, things are screwed up. It's really difficult to spend your money and all kinds of stuff. It's a very frustrating experience if you are trying to play Zerg and you can't inject well. So this direction, I think, is really, really awesome. It allows players to focus more on the fun parts of the game. It's good for new players. It's good for old players. It's good for players of StarCraft. Again, Blizzard reminds us, keep in mind, neither of these versions are final. So calm down, take it easy. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be great. These are ideas. Let's talk about the direction that we're moving in and if it's a positive or negative effect on the overall game. Why not? Let's talk constructively about the benefits and the unbenefits of this change. Long ago, the Protoss hobbled around Starcraft on a broken leg. 4 gates were everywhere, and no defender's advantage was to be found. Over time, there were small band-aids placed on this bleeding leg to keep it together. Band-aids like a smaller pylon radius, and pylons can't warp on the high ground, and even the awful, hideous band-aid, the mothership core, and its binary, uninteresting defender's advantage, photon overcharge. Now in Legacy of the Void, a brighter future is on the horizon. One that would set the broken leg of the Protoss and allow it finally to heal and become whole. A day when the gods of Blizzard could rain down upon us and remove the ugly band-aids from our leg to reveal shiny golden Protoss armor and fantastic gateway power. And there is a universal truth known throughout the lands about band-aids. Get it over with. Don't try to slowly peel the band-aid off. It's only going to hurt more. My name is JaKaTaK, and as always, thanks for watching. If you have an idea for a video you would like me to do, please leave it with any questions, comments, criticisms, concerns, or anything beginning with the letter C in the comment section below. And I'll see you again soon. Because I'm putting in bloopers now, so it's just kind of fun. It's just kind of, if I fuck up, I just embrace the fuck up really hardcore, and if it's funny, then I'll put in the bloopers at the end. The Blizzard's, oh, fuck it. Shit, fucking. Fuck yes, we're making it happen. We got fucking all kinds of shit going on. That's not gonna be part of the thing. So there are a lot of levers going on. It's fucking touching my face. So there was a fucking fly in my coffee today. Ugh. I only found out it's coffee, right? So it's black. I only found out when it got to the bottom and I was like, ugh. I'm not one to get grossed out easily, but that grossed me out. You know what I mean? Anyway, so the one thing that I want to bring up about the whole warping in and this is a Dunder Mifflin coffee cup. And finally, fuck. Is there a finally? What the fuck was I just talking about? Shit. People in the chat, what the fuck was I just talking about? Shit. Ah! Sitting up very tall, very good. Yes, hello. Lost it again. Shit. I love making videos. You can edit this out. Oh, believe you me, I'll be editing. Believe you me, I'll be editing a shitload of stuff out. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Because just being a for a long time is interesting, making potential for cool interactions. And like I said before, Spawn Larva. As I said before, Spawn Larva is a complete disgrace to the whole entire game of Starcraft. You drink my coffee? No donation message makes me cry. I cry. Wait, what? No, what? No, there's a donation message. There is. And on that glorious day, the gods of Blizzard will come down to Earth and remove the mortal band-aids from thine leg. No, that didn't work. Now in Legacy of the Void, a brighter horizon is on the horizon. What the fuck? Okay, let's try that one again. Oh, did I get distracted in the middle of telling my fucking story about the Protoss again? I'm totally calm, guys. Take it easy. Just calm down. Jack. Don't be so weird, okay? We're gamers, okay? We're all very normal, socially adept humans as gamers. All of us are very, very much on point. So stop being such fucking goofball, okay? Jak. My name is JaKaTaK, and as always, thanks for watching. If you have an idea you would like me to put into a video, or something like that, fuck. I've said this phrase, this like ending part, to every single one of my videos for the past 2.5 years, and I still fuck it up.